This is a continuation of the linear relations and graphing lines. So we are going to graph lines using the x and y intercepts. Now, the point at which the graph intersects the x-axis is called the x-intercept. So this would be your x-intercept. Likewise, the point at which the graph intersects the y-axis is called the y-intercept. So to identify the x and y intercepts of the graph at the right, the x-intercept would be the point -3, 0. The y-intercept would be the point 0, 4. If I start at the origin and count over -3, I do not go up or down, so therefore that's my x-intercept. If I start at the origin and count up, that's my y-intercept. All right. The x-intercepts are also referred to as roots, zeros, or solutions. Now, we will not get into roots and zeros for another chapter or another lesson, I should say. But just keep in mind, when you see the word roots, you see the word zeros, you should automatically think x-intercept. Now, to find the x-intercept of an equation, you set y equal to 0 and solve for x. To find the y-intercept of an equation, you do just the opposite. You set x equal to 0 and you solve for y. And you can use these points to graph. So in this particular example, it says find the x and y intercepts of the equation. So first, to find the x-intercept, I'm going to set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So that would be 0 equals to -2x plus 5. If I add 2x and then divide by 2, I get 5 over 2 as my x-intercept. If you want to write that as 2.5, that's fine because it does divide out exactly to 2.5. Now, to find my y-intercept, I'm going to do just the opposite. I'm going to plug 0 in for x and figure out what the y value is. So y equals to -2 times 0 plus 5. That will drop out, so y equals to 5. So the point 0.05 is my y-intercept. Now, in the next couple of examples, we're going to use x and y intercepts to graph the equation. Could you rewrite it in y equals mx plus b format, which these are in? Yes, and you can graph them that way, but this is just a different method for graphing. So it asks us to find our x-intercept. That means you're going to plug 0 in for x or 0 in for y and solve for x. So that's 0 equals to 5x minus 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So x equals to 1 over 5. My y-intercept, I'm going to do 0 for x and figure out what y is. So y equals to 5 times 0 minus 1, and y equals to -1. So now I'm going to plot those 2 points on my graph. 1/5 is very close to 0, so I'm going to put that on my x-axis, and then -1 on my y-axis. And those points are pretty close, but my line is going to go through those 2 points. Now, would I get the same exact line if I did slope-intercept? Found my intercept, my y-intercept, and then graphed my slope from there? Absolutely. Same line, just a different method for graphing it. So in this particular problem, to calculate our x-intercept in number 2, we're going to put 0 in for y and solve for x. So that would be 0 equals to -6 over 5x plus 2. I'm going to move 6 over 5 equals to -2, or to +2, I apologize. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6 over 5. So just a quick review. 2 divided by 6 over 5 becomes 2 times 5 over 6, which is 10 over 6, and that reduces to 5 over 3. So when I plug in or go to find my y-intercept, you plug 0 in for x and solve for y. So I get y equals to negative 6 over 5 times 0 plus 2. That drops out, so y equals to 2. So my y-intercept is the point 0.02. So when I graph 5/3, 5/3 is 1 2/3. So that's going to be over 1 and almost to 2. And then my y value is at 0.2. And then I can connect those 2 points with a straight line. All right. A few more, just x and y intercepts. All right, we've already done one in this format, so we're going to move down and do these next two. So if I take this problem and I solve for the x-intercept, that means 0 goes in for y and I solve for x. So 4x minus 0 equals to 8. That drops out. 4x equals to 8, and that gives me an x-intercept of 2. My y-intercept, that means you plug 0 in for x and you solve for y. So 4 times 0 minus y equals to 8. That drops out. Do not lose that negative in front of your y. That's a big mistake that some students make. Divide both sides by -1 and you get -8. So my y-intercept is at -8. So I'm going to go over to 2, 0, my x-intercept, and then I'm going to drop down 0, -8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -8. And then I will connect those 2 points with a straight line. And then the last example that I have, we're going to do the same thing. X-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for y and figure out what x is. For our y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x and figure out what y is. So here I get -5x minus 4 times 0 equals to -24. So that drops out. I get -5x equals to -24, and x equals to 24 over 5. That's almost 5, because 25 over 5 would be exactly 5. So here I'm going to do the same thing. -5 times 0 minus 4y equals to -24. That term drops out. So -4y equals to -24. When you divide both sides by -4, you get +6. So my x-intercept is almost to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, almost to 5. And then my y-intercept is up at 0.6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I can connect those with a line. If you have any questions about x and y intercepts, please make sure that you contact me.